Welcome back CruiseHols, or hello if you're new to this channel, where in this video I'll take you through a look at the major cruise ports of the North Sea. As a Brit and someone who's lived on the east coast of England, the North Sea has been the closest sea to me for much of my life. For those who may not know, the North Sea is a body of water between the east coast of Great Britain and the northern coast of Europe, taking in Denmark, Norway, Germany, Belgium, France and the Netherlands. It connects the Atlantic Ocean with the Norwegian Sea via the English Channel, and is one of the world's busiest shipping areas, and also one of the busiest cruise regions in the world. The North Sea is a body of water that in many ways started my love of cruising from a young age, when my parents would take me on cruise ferries from Newcastle, Harwich and Hull to places such as Edinburgh in Denmark, Hook of Holland and Rotterdam in the Netherlands, and to Zeebrugge in Belgium. That interest in the regions continued into my adult life, and I have now enjoyed a number of cruises exploring the cruise ports of the North Sea. But just where can those wanting to visit the region cruise to? That's exactly what I'll look to answer in this guide, where I take you through all the cruise ports on offer along the coastlines of the countries located in the North Sea. So if that sounds of interest to you, don't forget to like and subscribe, and why not leave a comment below telling me which of these ports you will love to visit. My name is Darren, and this is my look at the cruise ports of the North Sea. There are many turnaround cruise ports in the North Sea region, including some of the leading ones in Europe, and they are based across a range of countries. For those who are wanting to start their adventures in the North Sea area, many of these turnaround ports are also close to international airports and have decent links to local metro systems. And that includes Amsterdam, which is one of Europe's most popular cities for tourists, and with good reason. From its canals to its world-class art galleries, and from its floating flower markets to its great shopping opportunities, there is something for everybody in the Dutch capital city, and from my point of view, it's also a great cruise port with a number of lines that offer ships that home port there, allowing you to add on a stay in the city before or after your cruise and really make the most of what is on offer. The Norwegian city of Bergen is a popular stop and off port for cruise ships sailing between northern Europe and the Norwegian fjords, but it is also the starting port for most Norwegian coastal cruises, offered by lines such as Hurtigruten. Some itineraries, especially in the height of summer, also start there on more mainstream lines. The port of Dover is best known as a ferry port, especially to us Brits, but it has been growing steadily as a cruise port for the last decade or so, and now offers a range of lines and ships sailing from there. Sitting at the very southern edge of the North Sea, Dover offers itineraries sailing through the region and on to Norway or across to the Baltics. Dundee in Scotland is one of the smaller turnaround ports in the region, and it also offers one of the most limited ranges of lines and ships and itineraries. Edinburgh is an incredible city and somewhere well worth visiting on any cruise visiting the British Isles, and whilst it is possible to start or end your cruise holiday in the Scottish capital, it is unfortunately a limited number of smaller, more luxurious cruise ships that allow you to do so. Newcastle has long been a ferry port for ships setting off across the North Sea, but now some smaller cruise ships use the port's infrastructure for itineraries, often going to Scandinavia, including the popular Norwegian fjords. Oslo is the capital of Norway and offers a great day ashore for those visiting there, but to really make the most of your time in the city, you need to spend a few days there, which you can do when you choose a cruise itinerary starting or ending your getaway in Oslo. Whilst not the busiest cruise port in terms of turning around ships, there is a decent range of lines that offer adventures starting from there, with most itineraries taken in Northern Europe, the Baltic Sea, the Norwegian fjords, or heading up the Atlantic to Iceland. Rotterdam is one of the world's biggest ports, and whilst that normally means cruise ships have to dock far away from the city, and visitors must be shuttled through the commercial parts of the port, in Rotterdam you sail past all of that and dock in the city centre and right next to a metro station. That makes it a great port for those wanting to explore on their own, and there is plenty waiting in this bustling and vibrant city that often gets overlooked by tourists. Zeebrugge is the closest port to Bruges, and many lines will bill it as being there on their itineraries, but the Belgian port offers opportunities to explore much of northern Belgium and its beautiful coast, including places such as Ghent, Blankenberge and Ostend. There are also lots of popular cruise ports spread across all the countries with a coastline on the North Sea, and there's also quite a few hidden gems as well. Belgium is a country of contrasts, history, culture and chocolate. What more could you want from a cruise destination? Well, thankfully there is a good range of cruise ports, each with something different to offer, including historic towns, seaside holiday resorts and bustling cities, with Zeebrugge, Antwerp and Ostend all welcoming cruise ships and cruise holiday makers. Whilst many think of Denmark as just being Copenhagen, and from a cruising point of view it is the largest cruise port in the country, there is lots more to the country than its capital. The Jutland Peninsula stretches from the top of Germany and separates the North Sea from the Baltic Sea, and includes just one cruise port of call, the port of Edinburgh. France is home to many cruise ports, including those on its southern Mediterranean coast and its western Atlantic coast. And whilst its northern coast is a bit more limited in the options, especially on the North Sea coast of France, there are a couple of options for those wanting to visit the northeast of the country. The port of Calais is one of the busiest ferry ports in the world, but it does welcome some cruise ships. Whilst the port of Dunkirk, near to the Belgian border, offers the most options for those wanting to explore the region, although it will likely mostly have to be on a smaller ship or on a more expedition style cruise. When it comes to cruise ports, Germany is split into two, with the Jutland Peninsula separating its Baltic Sea ports from its North Sea ports. The north of the country can be explored from ports including Bremerhaven, close to the city of Bremen, Hamburg, which does need a cruise down the River Elbe to reach for a spectacular entrance, and Cuxhaven, where only smaller and older ships tend to visit. And you can also enter into the Kiel Canal from its North Sea coast. Great Britain, or rather England and Scotland, have plenty of options for those sailing in the North Sea and who want to visit the UK. While some are among the more busiest tourist cities in Europe, some of its ports are perhaps only known to those who live there. That is because there's been a big change in the cruise industry in the UK over the past decade or so, with more and more places welcoming cruise ships of different sizes. Starting in the southeast of England, the already mentioned Port of Dover is one of the biggest passenger ports in Europe, and while most of that traffic is related to the ferry industry, it does have dedicated cruise facilities. Then you have London Tilbury, which is relatively close to the centre of London, although it's a little bit awkward to get there from it at the moment. Then you have quite a few ports of call in Scotland, including the likes of Aberdeen, Invergordon, which is close to Inverness and acts as the gateway to the Scottish Highlands, and Scrabster, a small fishing community close to Thurso and numerous small islands. The Netherlands is home to the aforementioned major turnaround ports of Amsterdam and Rotterdam, two of the biggest and busiest ports in Europe. But there are a few more options for those wanting to explore more of what the Netherlands has to offer. The next busiest is the port of IJmuiden, which really is the major port for cruise ships, aside from the two major cities mentioned before. There are some other options such as Den Haag and Harlingen, which do welcome small cruise ships, but that's very intermittent. Norway offers one of the greatest ranges of cruise ports in the world, but most of those are outside of the North Sea, as they're either on the Atlantic Ocean or either the Arctic Ocean. Its two leading turnaround ports, Bergen and Oslo, are both on the North Sea, as mentioned above, but there are also some popular ports of call, including Kristiansand, not to be confused with Kristiansund, Stavanger, Haugesund, and Arendal, which all welcome a range of ships throughout the busy summer cruise season, including some of the biggest cruise ships in Europe. So all that remains to me say is thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed my quick look at the cruise ports of the North Sea, and see you next time.